The cold was not the ice. Theron felt it in his teeth, a resonant chill that had nothing to do with the sub-zero temperatures of the European cavern. It was the cold of absolute silence, of reverence so profound it felt like a pressure against his eardrums. Blue light, filtered through a kilometer of glacial ice, gave the vast chamber the ethereal quality of a drowned cathedral. The air smelled of ozone, sterile water, and something else, something ancient and organic, like dust from a tomb. He had paid everything to be here. His ship, his crew, his reputation, all lost. Then his savings, bartered away to a chain of smugglers and information brokers that led him to this impossible place, New Golgotha, the holy see of the Church of the Skull. Before him, in the center of the cavern, was the reason he had come. It was, or had been, a man. Now it was an oracle. The figure was fused into a lectern of polished bone and tarnished brass. Its atrophied body was a grotesque tapestry of pale skin stretched over a skeletal frame, with thick dark cables snaking from its exposed spine and neck. More delicate wires, like metallic hair, bristled from its scalp, some of them glowing with a faint, pulsing light. It was a living terminal, a soul made into a processor, and Theron's last hope. "The Hierophant requires your offering," a voice said, smooth and devoid of inflection. A priest emerged from the shadows, his face obscured by a chrome mask that reflected Theron's own haggard features. "We do not deal in coin here, outsider. The ancestor must taste your loss to understand it. A memory of significance. The truth you seek is proportional to the truth you give." Theron's jaw tightened. He'd been warned. "What must I do?" The priest gestured to the fine crystalline filaments dangling near the oracle. "Place these to your temple and neck. Do not resist the connection. The ancestor will take what it needs." Theron's fingers trembled as he pressed the cold filaments to his skin. There was no jolt, but a piercing shriek of mental feedback and the horrifying sensation of a hook sinking into his mind. The memory of the Wanderer's final moments wasn't shared. It was torn from him, ripped away with brutal efficiency. He felt Anya's last panicked report. "The reaction, it's gone, it just quenched," not as a memory, but as a fresh wound being carved into his psyche. But it was not a one-way transaction. As his grief was siphoned away, a flood of alien agony poured back in, the psychic residue of 1,000 other sacrifices. He felt the terror of a prospector watching his asteroid crack apart, the despair of a mother losing a child to a plague and a failing hab, the rage of a soldier betrayed. The oracle didn't just take his memory, it forced him to bear the weight of its entire library of sorrow. Then the visions of other lives ceased, replaced by something far worse. He was no longer on his ship, he was in its fusion reaction, a disembodied consciousness adrift in a miniature star. He felt the elegant, perfect dance of physics holding the stellar fire in its magnetic grip. Then he sensed a wrongness spread from outside, a dissonant hum in the music of the universe. The fundamental forces went slack, like a frayed rope giving way. He experienced the sickening, instantaneous quench of the reaction, the death of a sun, an absolute cold that was the absence of physical law. Another vision slammed into him. A different ship, a different crew. This time the force didn't slacken, it surged. He felt the magnetic bottle shatter, the runaway reaction blooming into a sun within a sun, vaporizing steel and flesh in a silent, holy fire. A final despairing thought echoed through the chaotic vision, not from the oracle, but from a long-dead physicist who had seen it first. "It is not empty, it is unstable." The connection shattered. Theron collapsed to his knees, gasping, a thin trickle of blood running from his nose. He was shaking violently, the ice-cold floor the only real thing in a world that had just been fundamentally broken. He didn't need the oracle to speak. He had seen it. He had felt it. It wasn't a weapon. It was a flaw in reality. "The sun," Theron choked out, the words tasting of blood and ozone. "The sickness is coming from the sun." The oracle's head slumped forward, its duty done. The pulsing lights on its wires dimmed. The priest stepped forward, his chrome mask unreadable. "You have your answer." Theron nodded numbly, pushing himself to his feet. He had the truth, a truth that offered no justice, no enemy to hunt, a truth that promised not war, but a slow, inevitable extinction as the very laws of physics broke down around them. The lights weren't going out because someone was cutting the power. They were going out because the fire itself was being forgotten by the universe. He turned and walked away, the cold that now gripped him absolute. It was the price of knowing, and it was a weight far heavier than ignorance.